Okay, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Let's see if we can put this up there. Final Cut TV and Coffee number 72. 72 shows I've put on so far on Saturday mornings. And we're going to continue over the summer, even though it's a bit slow news. Let's say it's a bit slow news. The summertime typically is. Now, what we are waiting for is what? This summer. We're waiting for something. What are we waiting for? There's a couple of things we're waiting for. There's two specific things we're waiting for. In the world of Final Cut Pro, let's take a look outside real quick. Yeah, we got some birds out there this morning. Good old birds. Let me change that to this. Change that to this. There we go. I'll go under the shade of the tree there. if you've got any Final Cut Pro news, put it in the comments. A little bit sparse this morning, but that doesn't mean there's no news. It just means it's a little bit sparse this morning. Thank you for the thumbs up already. We already got thumbs up. Very, very cool. Let's see who's watching where. Oh, we got people mostly on YouTube. Some people watching over on X. Just checking the statistics there. Good morning, Final Cut Pro community. Absolutely, worldwide community. So Alexander, I guess that's what your name is. Where are you from? Let us know what part of the world you're watching. Final Cut TV and Coffee. We do this every Saturday morning. We had, last week I streamed at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight, the show on Eastern Daylight. And Alexander says, Dominican Republic. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for tuning in. Rhett Murphy, good morning from Baltimore. Rhett, oh, we have to connect. If you're from Baltimore, we have to connect sometime for coffee or something. I don't know the Final Cut Pro community. I know a few people in the Baltimore area. Let us know what you do. Good morning, Joe from Leland, North Carolina. Leland is one of the characters on one of my favorite TV shows, Twin Peaks. If anybody watches that, I've been a big fan of Twin Peaks since it first aired. I was flabbergasted by some of the things that I saw on Twin Peaks. Leland, North Carolina. So Rhett says, for sure, day one user. So what kind of work do you make a living editing video? And if so, do you use Final Cut Pro? I mean, I did for quite a while. Well, I did for a long time, 10 or 12 years. Now I'm more freelance. Good evening from Denmark, watching it on my phone as I am soon going to drive to the airport, going on holiday with my wife and son. Very, very cool. Summertime, that's the thing about summer times. Okay, we look for Final Cut Pro news. We look everywhere we possibly can. There's two specific things that we're going to be waiting for right now for over the summer. I mean, we could get a surprise or two. We could get a surprise, but mostly we've seen what's going to happen for the summer. There's one big thing that I'm still waiting on, one big announcement. But the summer is usually, especially July into August, typically is very, very slow. There's our friend, Jari Innanen. Good evening from Helsinki, Finland. Jari, you got to get to some of the events over here if you get a chance back to the USA. I met you at NAB one year. So that's very cool. Yari's a dedicated Final Cut Pro proponent, very dedicated. I see him all over the place. Let's just see. Yeah, there we go. So last week I switched it to 1 o'clock because I covered a local 4th of July parade. I had to cover that at noon 10 o'clock. It was 10 to noon I covered it. So we switched the live feed to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So my question is, not next week. Next week I have to go maybe even 9 o'clock because I'm going to Frederick to cover the high wheelers race, unless it rains. So Frederick, the high wheelers race is next Saturday. I think it starts at noon. So I might have to switch to 9 o'clock next week. But I think for the rest of the summer, this is what I'm thinking. You let me know in the comments. I'm thinking about switching to 12 noon on Saturdays. And I can do 10 o'clock, but I'm wondering if 12 noon might be a better time, generally speaking, for everyone. If it's in the evening where you're watching, maybe not, but Last week we did 1:00 and we had like 1,200 people that have watched it in the last week over there on Facebook. So it seems like there were more people last week on Facebook than normal, but the same amount on YouTube. YouTube was about, I think, 250 to 300. Total, you're talking 1,500 views in the last week. So that's pretty good. Final Cut Pro people are watching all over the place. And of course, we have the Final Cut Pro team that watches this every week. So these are the two things that I'm expecting to happen within the next month. Number one, let's go over here. Not that. That's our pre-show. Huh. That's interesting. I thought I had this up already. Now, what the heck? Oh, you know why? I went on the wrong. Hold on. Here we go. So, this is one of the things I'm expecting to happen within the next 2 weeks, maybe this coming week. A Final Cut Pro 10.8.01 bug fix. Now, I kind of expect it this coming week. They didn't do it last week, the Final Cut Pro team, because last week was holiday week in the United States. We had 4th of July on Thursday. Thank you for the thumbs up. We had the 4th of July holiday on Thursday, which was a big holiday in the United States. So they're not going to release a bug fix in the update to Final Cut Pro on a holiday. They haven't so far. They're probably closed. I mean, most companies are closed on the 4th of July in the United States. It's a federal holiday, so most people are closed. So last week was 2 weeks since 10.8 came out. Next week will be 3 weeks. And the week after will be 4 weeks. We will certainly see this update 10.8.01 within 2 weeks. We'll certainly see it within 2 weeks. I've seen a lot of bug reports, not necessarily more than normal, but I've seen a lot of bug reports with 10.8 now. So I expect 10.8 bug fix. I'm kind of expecting this coming week, but it might be the following week. It's hard to tell based on their schedule, how many bug fixes they want to get in. They might sometimes they have released them in 2 weeks. They have released bug fixes in 2 weeks, which would have been last week. Warning, another workaround for the audio arrowing issue. If you skim over the clip with audio skimming enabled, then hit play, the arrowing function retaining audio feedback works. It's annoying, but better than mousing over the browser. So the one that I heard about was get your playhead off of the timeline window, like on the browser, and then the audio skimming. That's one of the big ones I've heard about. Audio skimming will work. And so I'm sure they're working on a fix for that. That's a big one. That's big. I've also read other ones as well. Not necessarily more than a normal major update. Now, it's major in one sense that they updated from 10.7.1 to 10.8. Numerically, it's a major update. Feature-wise, they've improved a couple of things. They introduced some bugs. There's a new, better slow motion version, some kind of artificial intelligence or machine learning. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't tried it yet. although I do use slow motion quite a bit. Found this out by accident the other day. It's been a lot easier to work with. So the comment was, skim over the clip with audio skimming enabled, then hit play. The arrowing function retains audio feedback. It works. So he's saying you skim over the clip with audio skimming. So put your mouse over the clip and then hit play. But people want to go one frame at a time, I think. So do you hit play and then use the arrow keys? I think people want to, when they want to skim with the audio one frame at a time to get a precise edit point. I think that's the main issue. If you hit play, can you then skim with the arrow keys? I don't know. I don't know. Tech Mixer, let us know where you are from. Okay, he says, she says, yes, hit play, then hit the arrows, and you can get the one frame at a time audio feedback. Very, very cool. So let us know where you're from. Tech Mixer. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that there's workarounds for that. That must be annoying. I don't use that all the time. Usually I zoom in and I use my mouse. Hello from Poland, Damian Poplowski. Still on previous versions of Final Cut Pro since I'm in the middle of several ongoing edits. Probably will upgrade next week. Back up your current version of Final Cut Pro. If it's 10.7.1, which that's what I'm on. I'm not on 10.8. I have both 10.8 and 10.7.1 on my dock, but I'm only using 10.7.1 right now because I'm showing a documentary that I'm working on in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from this afternoon, we're showing our documentary for the second time at the American Film Institute Theater, Silver Theater in Silver Spring, Maryland. That's the second time we've shown it. It's very popular the first time. It was near sellout crowd, 400 some people. This time, I expect kind of the same. I expect a lot of people to show up. So let me just see if I can get a picture of that. Maybe. All right. Part 2. I'm just looking for something. Here we go. Oh, that's the lobby. Here we go. I'll put this up. Hold on a second. Black. So we'll take that off. I am expecting 10.8.1 within the next 2 weeks, maybe this coming week. It could come this coming week, but I expect it that soon. Here is the theater audience from the last time. So this is the theater that this is the actual showing when we showed it last time, which was a year ago, April something, the end of April, right after NAB in 2023. You can see it's an old, ornate theater. It's a beautiful, beautiful theater. They've restored it back to the way it was originally. This is all the original, if you call it Art Deco or whatever, ceiling and stuff on the walls. And we had 400 people in there last time. And this is people coming into the auditorium. I'm shooting from the back, of course, but this is the theater. Next 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be back there again. We will be back there again. I'm really excited. I've been working on this for years, this documentary. It's about a local band. It's about a local band that should have made it big and didn't. Very talented original music. And they broke up before they struck the big time. And it's been one of my favorite bands of all time. So we ended up doing a documentary about it. Myself and Jeff Krulik, you might know him from Heavy Metal Parking Lot or Led Zeppelin played here. But anyway, there's no way that I'm switching that documentary over to 10.8. Ain't going to happen. I'm staying on 10.7.1, and with 10.7 worked, 10.7.1's worked. I'm not going to 10.8, especially until I might try it after this next showing, because I have to spit out a master ProRes file. And then the theater, they're really, really good. The theater itself makes the DCIM, what do they call that? The master for playing in the theater. They actually make that themselves. I give them a ProRes file, either upload it to their server or deliver it, and they make the file for playing back. One good thing I noticed with 10.8, I export about 20 video projects a day. Wow. Usually after an hour, exporting takes a while, and I have to restart a Final Cut Pro to fix it. That's been resolved. That's cool. Very, very cool. That was an issue. That was a thing for years before. I never done 20 in one day. I got myself a new iPad Air a few days ago, not specifically for editing, however. I'm wondering if it handles Final Cut Pro for iPad smoothly. Maybe I will check it out to edit on iPad. So Damian Poplawski, I think the new ones shouldn't they? The new iPad Air, the M2, whatever the heck it is, I would think it would. And they have the trial for Final Cut iPad 2. You get it for a month for free. 1 month for free. I haven't done the trial. I have not done the trial because I got an iPad Pro. I got the 13-inch, the big one. There's a couple of reasons why I got the big one. And I got the Apple Pencil. Number one is my iPad Air 2 was like 5 years old and it's small. I said, if I'm going to update the iPad, I might as well get the top end one. So I got the 1 terabyte space black iPad Air 13-inch. iPad Pro 13-inch, and I really, really like it. Besides editing with it on LumaFusion, at some point I may try Final Cut Pro iPad, Final Cut on the iPad, but I'm not in any hurry because I like LumaFusion a lot. And when I'm editing on the iPad, I use LumaFusion. No subscription. I'm not going to subscribe to Final Cut on the iPad. No way. If they ever offer it standalone price, I would buy it. If the Final Cut Pro team or whoever's on Apple App Store would give us a standalone price for the Final Cut iPad, I would buy it. As soon as it came out, I would buy it. I'm not going to rent it. I am not going to subscribe. The last thing Apple needs is $4.99 a month from me. They just don't need it. It's ridiculous. Give us the option. Apple, I don't think it's a Final Cut Pro team. Maybe. Listen to your customers. Okay? Don't be like Adobe. Listen to your customers. There are lots of customers that would buy Final Cut iPad. And these same customers are not going to rent it. They're not going to subscribe. So give people who want the subscription that option. Give people who want to buy the app, like myself, that option. Give us both options. Now, Philip Hodgett said that they would have to have 2 separate apps in the App Store. Okay, I think Apple can figure out how to do that. But yeah, I think you'd be surprised how many people would buy Final Cut on iPad versus subscribing. We don't need another subscription. We've got subscriptions at the Yahoo. All over the place are subscriptions. We don't need any more subscriptions. Let us buy Final Cut on iPad. I would buy it. I would buy it. And then I'd try it out. I'm not going to subscribe to it. So at this point, I'm not going to even do the trial. I'm using LumaFusion. I'm very satisfied. Here's what I've discovered, and I kind of expected this, editing on an iPad versus editing on my MacBook Pro. I like the MacBook Pro better. I like the MacBook Pro better. It's more powerful. It has a lot of great features. It's got a trackpad. It's got a keyboard built in, a hardware keyboard. But I also like editing on the iPad with the pencil, with touch, with LumaFusion. I like it. It's different than editing on Final Cut Pro on the Mac. So here's what I've said. LumaFusion on the iPad is like a motorcycle. Final Cut Pro, the Pro version of Final Cut on the Mac, is like a sports car. And then you have Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve, and you have the whole suite of professional applications are included in one app for $299 for the studio version and free for other versions. And so Resolve is like a heavy-duty truck. So you got LumaFusion on the iPad is like, and probably Final Cut on the iPad as well, is like a motorcycle. Final Cut Pro, the Pro version of Final Cut on the Mac, is like a sports car. And then DaVinci Resolve is like a heavy-duty truck. So you pick whatever one you want for whatever jobs there are. Editing on the iPad with LumaFusion, I use the pencil. I have a Bluetooth keyboard. Matter of fact, I have this right over here. I got this little, I'm not going to spend $350 on Apple's keyboard for the iPad Pro. First off, I don't use a keyboard that much. Maybe 2 or 3% of the time I might want a keyboard on my iPad Pro. It doesn't benefit me. If the iPad was the only device that I had and I didn't have a MacBook Pro, then I might get Apple's keyboard. Okay? But I said, let me just try this one. I said, I'm not spending $350 on it. But then I found this little Bluetooth keyboard, which works with the trackpad, which works really, really well with the iPad Pro when I need a keyboard, which is not most of the time. Most of the time, I use it with the pencil and with touch, which is what it's designed for. And I'm not spending $350 on an Apple keyboard. It's not going to happen. Because it's not. I have a MacBook Pro. If I want a keyboard, I use my MacBook Pro. When Nick did the demo at the conference, it was very impressed with iPad editing. It was insanely smooth. Yes, it is. It is, and I do enjoy it. It's just different than editing on a Mac. So sometimes, like, I couldn't do this documentary that I have showing next 2 weeks on an iPad. There's no way. Too complicated. I got to connect to my 56 terabyte RAID. I have to use all my thousands of Final Cut Pro plugins. There's no way that I could have done that on the iPad. It's way, way too complicated. Too many factors that the iPad doesn't support. Couldn't do it. But when I'm doing a quick turnaround, local story, I put it on. I have 2 of these crucial SSD drives, which are so far have been very dependable. They just came out about a year ago, less than a year ago. I got 2 of these. This is 4 terabytes. So I have two 4 terabyte SSD drives when I go back and forth from my Mac to the iPhone or my Mac to my iPad Pro. I really, I got an ad on my stream. I really, really like the iPad Pro. I really like it a lot. But, so I got it for two reasons. Number one, to edit with LumaFusion. Number two, when I'm on the plane going to the Creative Summit and going to NAB, I go twice a year to the West Coast. I download movies to my old iPad. Now I'm going to download them to my new iPad, and I'll have a much bigger screen. And then the second reason. So that's one thing. When I travel on an airplane, I just download a whole series TV show, and now I have a much bigger screen. So I'm really looking forward to that. Secondarily, when I travel, right now I have 3 screens. I have a 34-inch LG monitor. I have another large monitor, a generic monitor. It's a Philips monitor over on the side. I have my MacBook Pro. So I have 3 separate screens. I'm very comfortable with 3 screens. When I travel, I'm just have my MacBook Pro. So instead of all these screens that I can pull things from and everything, I just have the 16-inch MacBook Pro screen. Now, I'll have the 16-inch MacBook Pro screen plus a 13-inch iPad Pro screen. That'll be a blessing when I do my live streams from the hotel room. I'm not going to use the iPad Pro, I don't think. I might do some editing and broadcast clips out live. We'll have to see how that goes. But now, so I have it on the airplane for watching movies, TV series. I usually download a whole series. And I have it for a second screen when I'm broadcasting live from my hotel room. Please, I love that. I absolutely love that for that reason. That's bonus. So I really like the iPad Pro. I got it on sale for $150 off. It was only a couple weeks old. Amazon had a sale. They knocked $150 off. I grabbed it and got it. The pencil I got for $10 off on Amazon. Right now it's $119 instead of $129. So I got both of those items on sale. So I agree that the iPad editing is just different. When I edit on the iPad with LumaFusion, I really like it, but it's different than editing on, as you might expect, on the Mac. I like both of them. I like editing both of them. Some projects I pick specifically, I stay on LumaFusion. Some projects, they're usually the more complex projects, or if I need to access my plugins. If I need to access my Final Cut Pro plugins, I can't edit on the iPad because the iPad doesn't even have a plugins architecture built in yet. It's been out for a year, Final Cut Pro. LumaFusion doesn't, there's no plugin architecture in iPad OS. So I can't use plugins. Plugin manufacturers, I am not, under any circumstances, going to rebuy all your plugins to use on the iPad. Ain't going to happen. I spent thousands of dollars on iPad, on Final Cut Pro plugins. I'm not going to rebuy them to get on the iPad. Not going to do it. Now, going forward, if there is a plugin development feature for the iPad, for iPad OS and LumaFusion, when I buy a plugin, I will consider whether it's available on the iPad and the Mac. I will consider that before I make a purchase. But my plugins are on my Mac. This is a good point. It could be an in-app purchase. Excellent point. If you don't subscribe or pay the perpetual license as we all want it, it just wouldn't export. That would allow people to try and see if they like the workflow. Yeah, you're right. They can make it an in-app purchase. Instead of paying by the month, you make a purchase and you buy it. I would do it. I would do it before I bought an iPad Pro, just because I want to support Final Cut Pro, but not with subscriptions. Not with subscriptions. That ain't going to happen. Our friend Matthew Pate says, I would like to know the percentage of people using the live multicam on the iPad. They should have spent their time and resources elsewhere, like their main app. Well, yeah, the iPad development of Final Cut Pro team does take away from development of their main app. So Apple came out with Final Cut Camera, okay? Free app on the phone. Free app on the phone. As a phone app, it's missing some key features. Number one is you can't switch cameras while you're recording live. Once you press the record button, the choice of lenses, cameras goes away. You have to stop the recording, select the lens, and then start the recording again. That's a no-go for me. I do too much run and gun. I can't use it because of that feature alone. Interestingly, the native Apple camera app, you can do that. The native camera app that Apple has, you can hit record and you can switch through 4 or 5, in my case, 4 different lenses, and it never stops recording. It just switches the camera on one continuous file. As a matter of fact, the Final Cut camera app, the native camera app, does that switching absolutely the best of any of the camera apps that I use. So Blackmagic camera app, which is by far my favorite camera app, for free. It's a fantastic, fantastic camera app. You can switch live while you're recording. Press the record button. You can switch any of the lenses you want, back and forth. The only thing is, Blackmagic sometimes has a couple of super bright or black frames that you have to edit out in your timeline. So their switching is not, they've improved it, but it's not as good as Apple's native camera app. Apple's native camera app is the gold standard for switching lenses while you're recording live. I don't have any idea why Final Cut Camera didn't borrow that technology from them, since they're both the same company. But that's the biggest thing. I can't use it because of that. The second thing is there's no LUT support. You can't import a LUT. They don't have any built-in LUTs. And you can't preview with a LUT. You can't burn a LUT into the file like you can in other apps. You can shoot in you can shoot in Apple Log, but only in ProRes HQ, which is a very, very large file size. In Blackmagic camera app, you can record in 5, 6 flavors of Apple Log. You can record in ProRes Proxy, ProRes LT, regular ProRes, ProRes HQ, and I think the high-end ProRes. That's 5, plus H.264 and H.265 and Apple Log. So that's typically what I use because the quality is still really good. The color profile is what I want. Apple Log is superb, but the file sizes are way, way lower than Apple ProRes HQ. If I were shooting a film, yeah, I would shoot ProRes HQ, of course. But most of the stuff I'm doing is just on going to YouTube and stuff, so I don't need those humongous file sizes. I just don't need them. So it doesn't give you any options. It's either Apple ProRes HQ or you can't shoot log. Can't shoot log. So that's one of the other features. Now, the Apple Camera app for live multicam looks to be superb. If you have Final Cut on the iPad, Final Cut iPad 2, the Final Cut camera and live multicam have a great, great handshake, and it's superb. It is absolutely superb. You still can't switch the camera live while switching, but you have 4 different cameras typically, so you can switch those. But the handshake is excellent. It's very, very well thought out. So if you have Final Cut on iPad, this is a no-brainer. You can download Final Cut Camera, and it's excellent for that. But as a standalone, it's missing those key features. Number one, you can't switch the cameras while recording live. Number two, there's no LUT support. You can't import LUTs, preview LUTs, burn-in LUTs. There's no built-in LUT. Number three is there's only a single flavor of Apple Log available. Now, the good thing is, with the Apple Camera app, which is very, very cool, when I plug in the DJI Mic 2 into the camera, the app automatically selects that. It automatically selects my external microphone when I plug it in. It also will automatically detect if you have an SSD plugged in to your phone. If you have an SSD plugged into your phone, the Apple Camera app automatically chooses this to put all your media on. Two excellent, excellent features. If they would just let me switch cameras while I'm recording live, like Apple's native camera app does, allow me to have import LUTs, preview LUTs, burn-in LUTs, and record Apple Log as H.264, H.265, it would be fantastic. I would use it. But the Blackmagic Camera app has a definite step up from the Final Cut Camera app as a standalone. Now, you can't use the Blackmagic Camera app with live multicam. That doesn't work. It only works with Final Cut Camera. Got to get back to work. Keep up the great work, sir. In Canada, by the way, as you asked. We've met at the summit back in November. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So that's one of the things that's going on. I expect Final Cut Pro 10.8.01, a bug fix, to be out, I'm thinking this week, but it could be the following week. But I certainly expect it out within a couple of weeks. Number two, the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. It's in process. I can't talk about it, specifics, until Future Media Conferences makes their official announcement. Sometimes they make an announcement in July. Sometimes they make an announcement in August, early August. One of those two, any time now, they could be making an announcement. They'll announce the date. They'll announce the location. They'll announce the hotel that a lot of people are staying at. They'll announce their schedule. They'll announce their program. But if you went to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit last year in 2023, I would say it would be a safe bet to say this year, 2024, will be very similar to last year. Don't know the cost. Last year, Apple subsidized the conference. It used to be $1,000 because you got to pay all the speakers. You got to fly them in from all over the world. You got to put them up in a hotel. You got to pay their fees. And it used to be 3 days of conferences. Last year's was 2 days of conferences. Monday is Apple Park Day. We go to the Apple Park Apple Park campus, and we went there. That's where we got the presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, and we, as attendees of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, got worldwide debut of Final Cut Pro 10.7. We got the worldwide debut. Apple announced Logic Pro 10.8 earlier that morning, but they did not announce Final Cut Pro 10.7 until we got to see it live, previewed in Apple Spaceship Campus by the Final Cut Pro team. Now, based on that, I said that could happen again exactly the same way. Monday would be, we have a opening ceremony. We had one speaker. I think they delivered, it was Nick Haraz and iJustine did the opening segment, if I'm not mistaken. And then somebody did the iPad demonstration or something, the Final Cut iPad demonstration. This is what I recall. So I'm thinking that could be the same kind of typical thing, but we still don't know. Well, once they make their announcement, they'll tell us where it is. It'll be in Cupertino. I mean, because we got to get to the Apple campus. So it'll certainly be in Cupertino. I think it's a safe bet that it'll be in November. They had 2016 and 2017 were in October, the end of October. But since 2018 and 2019 were in November, and 2023 was also in November. I think November works out better for the summits for whatever reason. So it'll be in Cupertino. It'll likely be in November. And I don't know where. I don't know who the speakers are. But an announcement could come anytime from Future Media conferences. Have you tried using your iPad with your MacBook as a monitor extension? If you do prefer sidecar or continuity, the latter enabling to use the iPad as an iPad. I don't think, when I'm in a hotel room, I'm sitting at a desk and my MacBook Pro is propped up a little bit so I can get more eye level with the camera. Because I use the camera in the MacBook Pro. It's good when I'm traveling. I don't see myself using the iPad as a touch device. I'm going to connect it via USB-C and just use it as an extension of my desktop. I'm going to use my MacBook Pro touchpad and the keyboard rather than using the iPad Pro as a touch device. So whatever way that works, that's what I'm going to be doing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Oh, we forgot coffee here. So everything is beautifully green. It is a little bit dry out here, but everything is beautiful. And the good thing about hot, dry weather, I don't have to mow the grass nearly as much as when it's wet, hot and wet. When it's hot and wet, I got to mow the grass every week. Right now, it's July, and I mow the grass every other week. It just doesn't grow that fast, which is fine with me. It's not that big a deal. I have a great 50-inch lawnmower, zero turn, and I can mow my front. I can mow about an acre of my acre and a half in about a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half, because I really zip around on that zero turn. It's really, really very efficient for mowing. So those are the two things that I know of. There's been a lot of bug reports. Let's just see something here. I'm just going to see where people are watching. People over there on X. If you're over there on X, give me a comment. I don't think we got any comments from X yet this morning. YouTube. All YouTube comments so far. No Facebook comments. No X comments, but I know people are watching on both platforms. If you're over there on X, give me just make a comment so I can see how to do that. So before I start going to before I go to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit probably in November, I will try out my MacBook Pro as a monitor, hook it up via USB-C, use it as an extension of my desktop. I certainly will do that. So this is the theater where I'm going to be showing my documentary 2 weeks from today. I'm going to show you one thing. So one of the things that I've done in the past, I got the Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark IIX, full frame. I got 3 prime lenses, 24, 50, and 85 primes. I think they're f1.8 primes. And I have the 20 to 60 zoom, which I use when I'm outdoors. because I don't need low light. But one of the reasons I got the Lumix S5 Mark IIX, there's two reasons. Number one, it has great phase detect autofocus now, and it's being full frame. It's really, really good in low light. I switched from GH4 to GH5, never got the GH6, and it wasn't good in focusing. It wasn't good in low light. Not what I expect. I was looking at the Sony, waiting for the Sony to update before I bought into a system, but they didn't update, and they're $1,000 more than the Lumix S5 Mark IIX. One of the reasons, and I'll take it to this Creative Summit as well, because sometimes some of the presentations are in places that are a little bit dark. The rooms are dark. I'm not sure exactly. They don't have lights that are going to the stage like they as a normal presentation. They only have ceiling lights. They're coming straight down. They don't have lights pointing towards the talent. They don't have that set up. So sometimes it's dark. And I'm going to show you a perfect example. This is two separate, let me pull myself out of the way. I'm going to turn myself off. Well, I'll make it real small. These are two of the exact same shots at the Creative Summit that I did last year at the same time at the same event. Okay? The one on the left is what it looked like to the naked eye and to my iPhone. That's the iPhone camera. That's the actual light in the room. The one on the right is what my Lumix S5 Mark IIX saw. It's dramatically better. It's a low light monster. The one on the left is the actual light, what the human eye saw, and what my iPhone filmed. And the one right here is what the Lumix S5 Mark IIX shot. The exact same event at the exact same time. That's why I got the Lumix S5 Mark IIX. And I'll bring it to the Creative Summit again. I just bring one lens because it's heavy. I'll bring the Lumix X5 Mark IIX. It has a dual card slot so I can record the dual cards. And I'll bring the 85 millimeter because I'm only really interested shooting from the back of the room to the stage. I don't need it in the halls. My iPhone is perfect for that as long as I have light. But some of those rooms are dark. And it's been every time. 2019 it was like that. 2018 it was like that. And then 2023 it was like that. So the last three, it's just, some of them are just dark. So take my Lumix, no problem. And I only take it for that exact reason. It does make sense, but both options enable you to control the iPad with the Mac keyboard and mouse. Sidecar will extend your Mac desktop display, continuity not. I think you can just hook up your Mac. I don't think I need Sidecar. From what I understand, take a USB-C cable, Thunderbolt cable, plug it into your iPad Pro, plug it into your Mac, and the iPad will show up in your display options, your display settings, as an you can choose it as an extension or mirror. I don't think you need Sidecar. So that's how I'm just going to use it. Just as an extension of my desktop. I'm going to control everything from my MacBook Pro and have it off to the right or the left, depending on what my setup is in my room. That's an extra bonus for me. Being able to watch movies on the large screen, much larger screen, beautiful display. The iPad Pro, I just really, really like it. On the airplane, when I'm traveling 5, 6, 7 hours, I can watch a TV series and the time just flies by. And then when I'm in the hotel room and I do live broadcasts, because I'll typically get in the day before the summit starts. I'll probably do a live stream then before I know anything. And then typically the next day is Apple Day. Sometimes it's the last day, but last year was the first day. After we get back from Apple campus, I'll come do a live stream. The following morning, I'll do a live stream. The following evening, I'll do lots and lots of live streams like this. Let everybody know what's going on. So let's just see what's going on there. So next week, we're going to be, I might do 9 a.m. next week. So pay attention because I have to get up to Frederick to do the high wheelers race. And do you know what the high wheelers race is? Let me show you what the high wheelers race is. Just a second here. Channel content. Get some weird comments sometimes. So they have this race in Frederick. It's from the old bicycles back in the day of like the 20s. And this is what I do on next Saturday after the stream. Now, why isn't that audio coming through? Hold on 1 second. I have to set something up in preferences. Hold on. Let me see what I got here. I have to set up something in preferences. For the sound, Ecamm Live, I need to do Safari in Ecamm Live. Where is it? Here we go. There we go. And now it will come through. Frederick, Maryland. That's the high wheelers. One of the high wheelers.
You go for 15 minutes, and whoever has the most times around is the winner.
Right. What's your name?
My name's Eric.
I'm recording for YouTube Live and Facebook Live.
Oh, very great.
Why don't you come on camera and talk about the race a little bit? Your name is Eric, you said?
My name's Eric, yep.
Tell me what's going on here today.
So I'm just a volunteer today. I'm in charge of the corner. We're doing the high wheel race. It was the only one in the country for years. We took a little hiatus during COVID. We came back last year stronger than ever, and this year obviously we're on Facebook.
And YouTube Live.
And YouTube Live. We get bigger and better every year. There'll be three races today, 2 heats. Winner of those heats will go to the final race.
I think there are a couple schools around here.
This is one of the situations where I talk about switching cameras live when I'm recording. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Watch, I switched cameras 3 times here. Constantly switching cameras while I'm recording live. There's one switch. There's another switch. There's another switch. So if I did that with the iPad, the Final Cut camera, stop recording, choose a lens, start recording. That, what I just showed you, I switched 3 times, didn't have to stop at all, was with the native camera app. Final Cut camera does not do that. stop recording, switch lens, start recording. So I'd lose seconds every time I was switching. Filmic Pro is the same. Filmic Pro is the worst camera app for doing that. It takes 5 clicks. 5 clicks to switch the lens cameras while you're recording. 5 clicks Filmic Pro has. Once you're recording, it takes 5 clicks to switch lenses and start recording again. So you lose 4, 5, 6 seconds every single time. Filmic Pro is in the garbage can, as far as I'm concerned. It's the worst company that took over them, fired everybody. I would never give them another penny for me, especially with Blackmagic camera app for free. And the Final Cut Cam, after they've added a few features, will be another major player. Forget. Here's Filmic Pro. There you go. Filmic Pro. There you go for Filmic Pro. I would never subscribe to them again. Bending Spoons is the company that took over Filmic Pro. They're the ones that ruined it. They are the ones that ruined it. So while you're watching, the Final Cut Pro team is watching. Let's get them. Final Cut Pro team, please get us out. 10.8.0.1 bug fix. Please get that out for us this week. Tuesday, Thursday, Monday. You don't do updates on Wednesdays or Fridays for some reason. Most of them are on Thursdays. Some of them are on, half of them are on Tuesdays, even Mondays sometimes, depending on what your schedule is. So 10.8.01 bug fix. I expect it out. Could be out this week, but it might be out the following week. Anyway, within the next 2 weeks. So next Saturday, I might be at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Maybe if I go to Frederick, I'm probably going to do it at 9 o'clock. We'll go from 9 to 10:30. Then I can organize things and get up to Frederick. It's about 40 minutes from here, and I got to get a parking space and get down there. And I got this ridiculous, it's not ridiculous, it's actually very cool. When I'm outside filming with my iPhone in daylight, I got to do something with the sun. I got to get some kind of a shade situation, both over my eyes and over the phone itself, because the phone will overheat if it's in direct sunlight. It'll overheat in direct sunlight. So you got to keep the sun off of the phone. Plus, even with the screen on the brightest setting, it's very, very difficult to see. So let me show you what I bought for this event next Saturday. Let me see. Where is my... Let me go over here. It's kind of a silly thing, but it's really, really cool. Let me go over here to my orders. I think it's coming today. Yes, coming today. Packages out for delivery. You're probably not going to believe this, but I bought this for when I'm filming out in direct sunlight. It's an umbrella for your iPhone. It's an umbrella for your iPhone. It hooks up magnetically to the back, and it's a fairly good-sized umbrella. It's a sunshade. It's not really meant for weather. Right now, it's $19.99, a 10% coupon off, so you get $1 or something off. And I got one coming today. I don't need it today. I don't need it till next Saturday. But it's really, really, it's a funny little video. I mean, funny little, because you just can't see. It's very difficult to see in sunlight. You can't see anything. I've done it for years. Shade, so look at this. And it's bendable and it hooks to the magnetic mount. So I got one coming for next Saturday. I'm going to use it. And it looks like it'll do the job. I'll be able to keep the sun off of the phone. And it's far enough away, it doesn't interfere, it won't be in the shot. So it's really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I just saw it on X yesterday or somewhere. I forget exactly where it was. So that's my latest gadget coming up. Coming today, I'll give it a shot. It's got like 4.5, 4.8 rating on Amazon. So see how it goes. Let me see my order there. $99. Yeah. No, that's not it. Here we go. Track package. I'll have to see. Yeah, it's $2 off right now. I think that's what I paid for it. Something like that. So give it a shot next weekend. Because the thing is, I don't know how much weight that's going to add to the phone. I'd like to use my Insta360 gimbal, which is the lighter weight gimbal. But when I'm out in direct sunlight, it's hard because I have, like I said, I have to shade from the sun. If this doesn't add too much weight to the phone, I'll use my Insta360 gimbal as a shade device. See how it works. Anyway, any questions about Final Cut Pro? Any bug reports for this week? Anything you like about 10.8? Some people have posted videos. They like the new slow-mo, AI-assisted slow-mo, and we'll have to see how that goes. Now, like I said, we could get 10.8.01 bug fix at any time. I'm kind of expecting it this week, but it could be the following week. But it could be this week. And also, anytime Future Media Conferences is going to announce the details of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. There is a Creative Summit this year. That I know. I know some details about it. I'm a media sponsor of Future Media Conferences, so I get some inside information. But I'm not going to say anything publicly until they make their official announcements. I'll be asking how it was to use on your live stream in 2 weeks' time, if I remember it, that is. I'm not going to do a live stream. I might do a short live stream from Frederick. I'm just going to film, and then I come back home. I'll edit it on the iPad. That's a perfect example of me editing on an iPad. That's a perfect example. I'll edit this on my phone, take the footage off on a hard drive, plug the hard drive into LumaFusion on the iPad, and I'll edit that on LumaFusion on the iPad next week. Then I'll edit it, and then I'll put it out. I don't think I'll do a live stream. Live streams add a level of complexity, but I still film out in direct sunlight. And this is, I think it's 12 noon, so the sun is right overhead, beating down on my head. I even ordered 2 hats. One's a sunshade hat, and one's a cowboy hat to keep the sun from beating on my head. So we'll see. Plus, one of the things I noticed at the 4th of July parade, covering up my eyes lets me see the screen better too. So I need something here in front and then a sunscreen, and that's about the best you're going to get. So we'll have to see how that works. But it's got great reviews so far. It's amazing. But anyway, so next Saturday, maybe 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight. We'll have to see. I think the Frederick thing is 12. And if it's 12, I got to get there at 11:30 to get my place and set up and all that. So pay attention. Pay attention. You can do the subscribe over there at YouTube. Go over there, subscribe. Just punch this in, youtube.com @Richard Taylor TV. all one word, and you can subscribe and you'll know when I go live. Plus, I posted in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Final Cut TV Radio. That's what it's called. We also have this group, Final Cut Pro 10.7 and 10.8. We have Final Cut Pro tips and tricks, all kinds of Facebook groups over there. So if you have any more questions or comments about your experiences with Final Cut Pro 10.8, please let me know before I sign off here. Not sure what kind of bird that is. I'm not sure what kind of bird that is. So the comment says, when will the bugs be resolved? Well, that's what we've been talking about. NART, that's what we're talking about. 10.8.01 within, I'm going to say within the next 2 weeks, but it could be this coming week. And that hopefully will squash the bugs. You're suffering with 10.8. Tell me what your problems are with 10.8. Specifically, we know about this audio scrubbing one. Let me know what your problems are. But once again, before you update your version of Final Cut, always back up your current version. Then you can always go back. I have both versions of Final Cut running on my MacBook Pro, 10.7.1, which I use, and 10.8, which I'm not using because there's too many reports of bugs. I'm not going to update my libraries, etc., etc. When 10.8.0.1 comes out, I'm not going to update this documentary I'm working on. There's absolutely no reason to, zero benefit, with a lot of risk. I'm just going to do this next edit. We're almost done. And after the documentary screening, a week, 2 weeks from today, I'm still not going to update that library. There's no reason to. It's already done. There's no benefit to updating it. I'm leaving it at 10.7.1. So Nart says, adding lower thirds, it freezes every time I edit the text. I've heard that. That's one of the things that I've heard consistently about Final Cut Pro 10.8 bugs. So that could very well be resolved, hopefully, in 10.8.01. That's what I'm calling it. They could call it 10.8.1. I say 01 because the bug fix. It very well could be 10.8.1 bug fix / maybe a new feature added. The numbering system is wacky now with Final Cut Pro. Completely wacky. They came out with 10.7 November 30th last year, 10.7.1 December I'm just going to guess, it was before Christmas 19th. And then 6 months later, it jumps to 10.8. It jumps to 10.8. So the numbers don't mean anything. Numbers have no significance anymore in Final Cut Pro. It's just like this. Numbers, Final Cut Pro numbers for the update, it's just a wild guess what they mean. They don't have any meaning anymore. No significant meaning. Used to be if you got a full point update, like from 10.7 to 10.8, it was a laundry list of new features. Now it's just like, we're at 10.7.1. Let's just update it, throw it over there to 10.8. Doesn't mean anything. But anyway, I'm expecting a bug fix for 10.8. Could be 10.8.1, could be 10.8.01. We'll have to see. Same here, Rhett says, and a color mask. He's getting crashes with all that stuff. See? Yeah, that's all these bugs in 10.8. But I'm expecting the bug fix. No, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Here we go. Expecting it either 10.8.01 or 10.8.1 bug fix this week or next week. I mean, this coming week or the following week. There's too many bug reports. Is it unusual? No, it's not. Especially with the full point update, it's usual to have bugs. The Final Cut Pro team has a beta group that's this big. Okay? They have a beta group that's this big. Once they release it, the beta group is, it's worldwide. It's millions of users instead of dozens of users. So there's no way they can catch all the bugs they're going to experience. Different operating systems, different Macs, Intel Macs, M1 Macs, M2 Macs, M3 Macs. Speaking of M1 Macs, so I got the iPad Pro. I'm just checking something here. I've got the iPad Pro 13-inch. I love it. It is a great device. I use it for reading. I use it for watching videos. And I edit with LumaFusion on it. I'm probably going to buy the M4 MacBook Pro when it's announced this fall. It could be an Apple event in October, I would say. I don't think we're going to see it before then. An Apple event in October is what I'm going to guess. We're going to see the MacBook Pro announced. And we're going to, there's a good chance we'll see a new version of Final Cut Pro at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Why do they wait to fix many bugs before release? Why not put up an update as soon as they figure out each problem? Does one fix impact the others? Those are all good questions. There's no reason why they would hold back a bug fix update. But if they're working on, let's just say, 4 bugs. They're working on 4 bugs. Well, they may get this one fixed, and then they have this other one they want to get fixed. And they could put those 2 out, but they're thinking, well, let's get 3 and 4 fixed, and then we'll package those bug fixes together, and we'll put them out as a 0.1 or 0.01 fix. They're not holding anything back. It's just organization, getting the bug fixes, and certainly one bug fix could certainly cause problems for Final Cut Pro that they didn't anticipate. It happened last year with 10.6. We had a couple of bug fixes. One bug fix that introduced bugs, and they had to put out a second bug fix within 2 weeks because this bug fix introduced bugs into it that had to be fixed by another bug fix 2 weeks later. So they're not holding them back saying, look at these people. They have to deal with these bugs and we're not going to give them a bug fix. That's not happening. That is not happening. Is anybody planning on going to the Creative Summit besides me? I'm not a big fan of flying anymore. I used to be when I was younger. I went to England 6 times, to the UK, and I went to Paris. In the mid-'80s when I went to see, one of the things I went to see in Paris, I saw music, of course, and had their fantastic coffee in their coffee shops, and their food is phenomenal. And I went to Jim Morrison's grave. I went to see Jim Morrison's grave while I was there on a Sunday. It was a Sunday. Let's see if I can pull that up. Let's do that real quick. We'll turn that off. And we'll put this on. This was in the mid 1980s. I went to see Jim Morrison's grave. I'm a big fan of the Doors. And I went there, it was kind of weird. I went there on a Sunday morning. It's in Père Lachaise. And I went there on a Sunday morning. You can see that they had, his bust was still there then. They'd taken the bust away because people were stealing it or whatever they were doing. It's not there anymore. But I went to see it. As a matter of fact, what the heck happened to my audio? Camera switcher. Hold on a second. Huh. I think I clicked on something. Let me just see. Here we go. There it is. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. I clicked that off. I couldn't see the meters anymore. So I went there on a Sunday morning, and there were people there singing Doors songs. It was like, I'm going to say 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And there were people there at 10 o'clock on a random Sunday morning singing Doors songs. Singing Doors songs. It was the strangest event, but that's one of the things I wanted to go to while I was there, was I wanted to visit Jim Morrison's grave. So, why do they fix so many bugs before release? Well, I don't think they may catch a bug at the last minute once it's already been scheduled to be released. No software is bug-free. Zero software is bug-free. So no matter what software you have, it's going to have bugs, Final Cut Pro included. When this bug fix comes out, it fixes the initial bugs in 10.8. There still might be some bugs in 10.8.01 or 10.8.1. It's not going to be bug-free, very seldom. Maybe the bugs are not as big as the ones that are bothering people now, crashes and this audio skimming bug, but there's going to be bugs in all software that you use. That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of software. Anybody over there on X platform? We've got 23 people watching over there on X. Go ahead and give me a comment. Make sure your comments, if you're commenting, are coming through. All righty. All righty. I'm going to get out of here for today. Next Saturday, it's probably going to be 9 o'clock. That's what I'm thinking. Just pay attention over there on our Facebook group. You'll get notification on YouTube when I go live or when I'm going live. Have not had problem with 10.8, but I'm not using any plugins and only as a hobby. So I'm only scratching the surface of what you can do with it and without plugins, so I'm in luck. There you go. There you go. Yeah, some people say, well, this person's having bugs, problems, but I'm not having any problems. Well, if it's one person, they could have problem with their system. That could be. But if the same problem gets reported by multiple people, which I've seen, multiple things about crashing, changing text crashing, audio skimming one frame at a time, not you've been able to do that. I've seen it from a dozen different sources, so I'm sure the bugs are there. Like I said, I'm not using 10.8, I'm using 10.7.1, and I have no intentions of switching. Plus, I got LumaFusion. By the way, LumaFusion has the new version 5 coming out this summer, which has new features and a new plug-in pack that you can use. So I want to give applause to the Final Cut Pro team. They do watch this live stream. Thank you for 10.8, but get us 10.8.1 or 10.8.01, whatever it's going to be called, get that to us quickly. And whoever's in charge of the iPad version of Final Cut, give us a perpetual license option. Give us a perpetual license option. If you give us a perpetual license option, I will buy it. I am not going to subscribe to Final Cut iPad. Ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to even try the trial. I might try the trial around the Creative Summit when I go to Cupertino in November. Maybe I'll try the trial then. I have no reason to. I got LibriFusion. Fantastic on the iPad. It's fantastic. And I have Final Cut on my MacBook Pro. Very portable, very powerful. I can plug into my RAIDs. Can't do it on the iPad. I got thousands of plugins. Can't use them on the iPad. And I use them a lot. So let me buy Final Cut on iPad. Somebody suggested an in-app purchase. Perfect. In-app purchase would be perfect. Do the trial. One of the options for in-app, there should be two options for in-app purchase. Subscription for $4.99 a month, which is completely reasonable. It's not about the $4.99 a month. It's about the subscription model. Don't want subscription model. Don't want to encourage you to do subscriptions. Ridiculous. Not for something like this. iCloud storage is different because every month you got to pay that. Every month costs you money when I have things stored on your servers. As an app, no. $4.99 a month is completely reasonable. Final Cut iPad looks to be a very, very cool iPad app, but I don't like iPad OS. I don't like it at all. I like Mac OS. So when I'm doing big stuff, I use my MacBook Pro, Final Cut Pro. On the iPad, which I really like, Apple, thumbs up for the iPad Pro. It's really a great device. But I'm not going to subscribe to Final Cut Pro. Ain't going to happen. All right. I'm going to get out of here. We're going to see you next Saturday, probably 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. And then after that, we'll see about what time frame we're going to go with. All right, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Final Cut TV and Coffee. My name's Richard Taylor. Subscribe over there on YouTube. Leave the thumbs up. We got a bunch of thumbs up today. We got a lot of people watching. And as long as nothing else happens, I'll see you next Saturday. I could come out live during the week. I got some things I'm going to try out. Have to see how that works out. I'll see everybody, if not before, next Saturday.